Hello, everybody. This is Sylvia and Peter. We usually start out on a laugh because we enjoy doing these videos where we're talking about everything and anything to do with mental health and typically mental health in business. So we thought today, why don't we talk about the business of mental health and well-being, or the business of so many other things that has to do with doing something for others and their growth, their well-being. And what has prompted this is a feeling that both Sylvia and I had got, sort of, that sometimes the business is more important than what the business delivers. So that it's all about making money somehow rather than actually delivering what it says on the tin.
Interesting because I think for some years now, I've had a sense, as lots of other people, it has become the business of whatever it may be. And I also feel this might sound quite controversial for some listeners that mental health has become big business, or poor mental health has become big business. We have organisations growing left, right, and centre, delivering this and delivering that. It's about the business of mental health, the business of education. And for someone like myself, it jars a little bit. I know I am from business. I'm from financial services, but it jars for me personally because it is about, as we said before, Peter, it's about human beings. It's about people. And then categorizing them as assets or the business of mental health or poor mental health. We are talking about people. But I think also there is an angle that even though it may jar and it might not be how I'd like it to be, it's accepting that's how this world has become and how we actually work within those parameters. I can give you a very sort of personal example. I worked at a local college, very much about the mental health and well-being of their students. And it turned out they had a new principal and they found someone who could provide my services cheaper. Now, I don't have an issue with that. I would have preferred if they'd asked me if I could, see my way forward to change my pricing structure. But it came down to money and it came down to costs, the business of education. They'd been pressurized by the board at the academy to cut costs. The principal was doing as they had been instructed, but it came down to costs. And as I put in one of my responses to this, to the principal, it seems a shame that once again, the mental health and well-being of individuals comes down to cost, whether you categorize that as an investment or as an expenditure, but that's another story. It is still money going out the bank account. And it is the business of education, the business of mental health. And it has become big business. You and I, we're up against multi-million-dollar companies providing mental health and well-being stats. And it becomes very difficult sometimes in this space to be competitive, because a lot of people will go to those big organizations rather than you and I, because it's just seen as, oh, we'll have X company come in. Why would we have Sylvia Bruce come in? It's the business of mental health, the business of education, the business of providing statistics, the business of providing AI. Everything is about a business. And perhaps I'm old school. I don't know. I still believe in it being human beings.
I think I'm with you pretty far down this particular road because it has become very commercialized. When I have a client who's got into trouble in his first year at college, never had any trouble before, there's one fight and he is permanently excluded. The college couldn't care less about this young man's future and education,
Mm.
but they care about the reputation and therefore the attraction of fee-paying clients to the school. So there's, I don't know what happens to my voice today, but so the zero tolerance was even not clear cut, because the other boy in this kerfuffle was someone who had been in trouble before numerous times. But whatever it was, it's not for this conversation. It was just the principle of, we don't really care about the future of this young boy. We care about our own reputation. And as you mentioned there, we are up against, you and I, big corporations who can hire a lot of counselors to do something at a low cost. But that means that these counselors are not being valued. They're just being seen as bums on seat who can provide a cheap and cheerful service quickly so someone else can tick a box. And is that good business? It probably is from a spreadsheet perspective, but from a delivery perspective, I've certainly heard about people who have had no value whatsoever from these EAP programs, or other sort of very commercial entities. It doesn't mean that these people are cowboys or just very, very cutthroat. But I think what it means is that the ethos behind the business is not there. That is all about the money, and we don't really care how we make the money. We just need to make the money. And people like you and I, we do run our own businesses. So we have to accept that even though we are about our clients, it is also a business. Food on the table and a contribution towards the mortgage. So we need to find that balance of, yes, there is a private sector and there's a public sector, but even the public sector, the NHS, for example, in the UK, is also a business. And a lot of what they worry about is their budget. The frontline people, I'm sure, care about and worry about the patients that they treat. But further up the hierarchy, it's all about business.
Definitely. And I think it's, money in, money out, whether you call it investment, whether you call it expense, overheads, it's still around money in and money out. And what is the best return on our investment? The best return into, our EAPs, if we're talking about the workplace. And also, it's statistics, and there's a lot placed on statistics. But again, you talk about personal side of it. Someone will come in, to see the likes of you or I. They may have 3 or 4 sessions, and it goes down statistic, 3 or 4 sessions. Wow, they weren't with Sylvia or Peter for long. But the quality of what they're getting in those sessions versus, for example, a stat which shows someone goes to an EAP and they're on the EAP program for like a year. Wow, that EAP program is really valuable because that person stayed in it for a year. I would also question, is that correct? What, to your point, as you said earlier, Peter, what quality of level of support is that person getting if they are still in that EAP for a year? So it is all around business. But I think, again, as I said earlier, whilst we, it might sort of irk a little bit, it does me, but it's accepting that's how it is, and how do we work within the parameters of that. One could also argue, again, a little bit controversially, that mental health in the workplace shouldn't even be a thing. We should be in workplaces already looking after each other, already being kind and compassionate and empathic. Should we really be having to teach that? But that's for another day. But there is that argument as well. That's why it's also become a big business, big money earner.
And one of the issues I have, that I've been told I have, as far as business is concerned, is my principle is that I need my clients to fly solo as quickly as possible. And I know you feel the same. We can't have our clients hanging around forever, because that's not the point of what we do. But it's a pretty awful business model because you really want your clients to be loyal and stay with you for a long time. But that's great for some businesses, but it isn't great, in my opinion, for therapy. The whole point is to help treat and get the person ready to fly solo and get back into circulation, and not rely on the likes of you and me as a crutch forever.
I think that comes back to the point I made earlier about, they come to us for, a few sessions, and they may be in an EAP program for a long time. Like you say, my belief has always been, we come alongside someone, we help, we support, and it's a bit like that, client-led, counsellor-led sometimes, depending on how the situation goes. And then they go, thanks, Sylvie, and off they fly. And that's the best feeling.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, some could argue they don't want that to happen, because that client's gone, that income has gone. I've got to find someone else now. Whereas you and I, as I said to you before, right from the start, I've always said to myself, my job is to make myself redundant when I see someone, and I think I don't want to keep them, I want them to fly, like you said, fly solo. And I think there's a different angle as to the intention behind why we do what we do, as individuals, why corporates do what they do as corporates, and the ripple effect of that.
So are we saying that business is a bad thing?
No.
Are we saying that we just need a different attitude to business, or maybe a different attitude to the beliefs and the values sitting behind the business?
I think as individuals, you just have to accept that it's how things are today. Everything has become a business. Whereas years ago, mental health, if we're talking about mental health wasn't a business, but now it has become a business in certain contexts. And I think it is to accept that it has become a business. And as I said, how do we then work within that, but still get the results that we would like, and also staying true to ourselves as individuals?
So as far as I can tell, we have, as usual, come up with
no answers at all.
Lots of thoughts, no answers, no solutions. This is how we're going to be doing it.
Yeah.
No, we haven't. But I think it's important to highlight the fact that there are businesses out there who are quite ruthless, delivering something to claim help other people in their lives. And there are those who are really helping other people with their lives and struggle to see that actually it's okay to run this as a business.
I think perhaps the question is, in this world as it is, how do we all navigate through how things are at the moment? How do we find a way forward and still stay true and still deliver what we as individuals, what businesses want, and that sort of behaviour flexibility, but still remaining true to the values and beliefs as to what we set out to achieve?
And that is one of those examples, again, where it's impossible to have one of those one size fits all or one attitude fits all. We really do have to dig deep in ourselves and say, look, this is what I believe in. These are my ethical values. This is how I want to deliver my business, and I want to make a living from it. So that's a benefit for me, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to hear what other people think, because as you're talking there as well, on a bigger scale, mental health has become big business. Is that right? Is that proper? All these organizations that supporting mental health, the bottom line is they still want to make money out of their product, and their product is education, mental health, stress, anxiety, resilience, widgets. They still want to make money out of it. One could question whether that's fundamentally okay, but it is what it is, and it's how we are today.
Lots to think about.
Indeed.
Thank you for staying with this conversation, and do tell us what you think. Take
Yes.
care now.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Be interesting. Thank you. Bye bye.